welcome to the Tough Cover Podcast with your host, Mark Henry Jr. Please do me a favor and go follow at The Painted Lines on Twitter and subscribe to The Painted Lines on YouTube and Twitch, and follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ and follow the podcast at Tough Cover Pod on Twitter. On today's show, we will be bringing you my MLB and my NBA picks for tonight, which is Friday, April 2nd. Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend, as Daniel Craig would say at Saturday Night Live on a famous GIF that's used on Twitter. So on today's show, we'll talk about my two MLB picks, my two NBA picks. I had a couple picks canceled due to injuries that I didn't end up going through with. So I will give you some leans. I'll give you some background on some of the games that I didn't end up taking. But before we get to all that, what you can do is you can listen to this podcast and you can use these picks to go forward and bet responsibly at BetRivers. And speaking of BetRivers, we have a word from our sponsors at XL Media.
Hey, what's up, guys? March Madness is here. The NBA and NHL are both in full swing. Baseball opening day is coming up, while we here at The Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports. We are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup in on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover Podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity for some free money, baby.
Go check that out. The link is in the bio and it was in the video. So go check that out and go follow The Painted Lines on Twitter, where you can get that link, and go to thepaintedlines.com and check the link out in the description if you're watching on YouTube. So can't miss out on that opportunities for that free money. And with that free money, you can place these picks that I'm giving you for tonight. Last night, I went 4-3, finished down a unit because my best bet lost, which means my best bet all time on this show moves to 16-9. 16-9, pretty good percentage. I'll take it. 0-1 start to April, though. Unacceptable. Got to get back on our winning ways tonight, especially for the best bet. And I'm going to do that with my last pick of today's show. So stay tuned to hear that. If you have any picks or thoughts or opinions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll pull them up on the screen. If you have any questions, picks, opinions, anything out there, go Phils from Eagles Underdog. Let's go, buddy. Go Phils. Hell of a first win. Yeah, we should talk about that before we even get into anything. And I'll go over my action from yesterday a little bit. The Phillies last night, or yesterday, not last night, I guess it stretched into the night. It felt great for the first, whatever it was, 5 or so innings, with Aaron Nolan spinning it on the mound, and 2-0 lead for most of the game. We couldn't stretch that lead, which you knew would come back to bite us. Eventually, Pablo Sandoval comes up and smacks a homer out to right field, and they take Nola out of the game, tie game, and everyone's biting their fingernails, everyone's getting nervous. Thankfully, in extra innings, we were able to win and start off our 162-0 campaign right with a 1-0. So it felt great to see a walk-off, especially on game 1 out of 162. One of the most exciting things in sports is seeing a walk-off after watching a whole game. It's like a payoff for putting your time into a sporting event. And yesterday was no different. Jimmy Cigarettes, Gene Segura, with the walk-off hit. JT Realmuto with an excellent block of the plate from a throw from Roman Quinn from center field, which saved a run and allowed the Phillies to score the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 10th inning. It was a fantastic win. Hopefully, we see more of it this weekend. And speaking of this weekend, starting tomorrow and Sunday, I'll be doing the show at 11 or 12 tomorrow. I'll have Pat Moran on the show, I believe. And on Sunday, I'll be doing it solo. So both days, I'll go in the morning to try to beat all of the big day baseball games and try to get the picks to you guys as soon as possible. And I'll try to get the night picks out in the morning so you guys have all day to go back and reference those and reference the statistics. Swig a Red Bull for the working man real quick. Now, all right, let's get started. Let's do what you guys are here for. Let's talk about my picks for today. A little bit of a slow card, not as many baseball games, obviously, as there are yesterday or there will be for the rest of the weekend, but pretty good NBA slate. Is Hazley hurt? I saw something about this on Twitter. I have to look into that. If someone wants to leave in the comments if they're aware if Hazley's hurt or not. I do know he got yanked yesterday for Roman Quinn, but I didn't see the lineup yet today. I'm sure they don't play today. Jesus, had me all messed up thinking about the Phillies. But, all right, I have 2 MLB picks and 2 NBA picks. I'm going to start it off with the 2 baseball picks and then get to the basketball picks. To start it off at 8:40, I have the Colorado Rockies +3 at -120 versus the Los Angeles Dodgers for 1.5 units. The Rockies at +2.5 is at +100, and +3 is at -120, which feels crazy to me for baseball. I know I'm out of the swing of things betting on baseball, but that feels outrageous. I know the Dodgers are great. I know that Bauer is Bauer, and he's great as well. But he's only pitched in Colorado in the altitude at Coors Field just one time, way back in 2017, and got absolutely shelled. Couldn't get out of the 4th inning, while Antonio Senzatela faced the Dodgers 3 times last year and made it into the 6th every single time, including 2 fantastic quality starts in his last 2 against the Dodgers. The Rockies are 3-0 at home against the Dodgers in the last 3 Senzatela home starts. Senzatela, who went 5-3 last season with a 3.44 ERA and a 1.21 WHIP, had a really, really solid year last season, which kind of went under the radar because Colorado stunk, obviously. Last season, switching over to Bauer, opposing batters hit a fly ball 47.8% of the time when they made contact against Trevor Bauer, which is the highest fly ball rate of his career, despite how good he was last season. That could be problematic at Coors Field, where fly balls turn into dingers real quick. I don't often take +2.5 or +3, but +2.5 being +100 and +3 only being -120 is not enough of a jump up. It's not enough of a deterrent for me to take Rockies +2. That means, like Brandon Walker said on the Twitter Spaces, I gave him this pick. You have to beat me by 4 runs. That's what I'm betting against. So I think it's a little bit of Dodger overreaction and Dodger overinflation. So I do think this might be an opportunity. To Loyola's coach just got hired by Oklahoma. Breaking news, by the way. But this might be an opportunity to buy in on the overinflation of the Dodgers. So I do think these lines will go down as the year goes on. So moving on to my next baseball play, I've got the White Sox money line at the Los Angeles Angels for 1.5 units. You see it on the bill up there. We got the White Sox rocking with them. I'm actually assistant coaching a White Sox team this season, so just by chance have this hat. Should have threw up the Chance 3 hats behind me, because shout out Chance the Rapper and the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox last season were 15-0 against lefties. The Angels are throwing lefty Andrew Heaney on the mound, who doesn't exactly instill fear in me or shouldn't instill fear in anyone. So the White Sox should have won last night, but that DUI addicted buffoon Tony La Russa, he yanked Giolito way too early. I think he had like 85 pitches, and he took him out right before Trout and Rendon came up. They blew the game open. The bullpen lost them the game. So they should have won last night. It's not a deterrent that I lost on my best bet with them last night to make me not bet on them today. I love taking Dallas Keuchel as the best pitcher here over Andrew Heaney, and I still believe in my pick from yesterday of the White Sox to win the World Series. And by the way, folks, even if they lose today, I've already taken a look at tomorrow a little bit. I'll be on them again tomorrow with Lance Lynn on the mound. Spoiler alert. Now let's get to basketball. Let's get to the association, the NBA. Starting at 10 o'clock, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder plus 13.5 at the Phoenix Suns for 1.5 units. Phoenix has won 4 straight games by 7 or less and has won 3-1 against the spread in their last 5, with all 5 being decided by 7 or less. OKC is 24-22-1 against the spread, well above their straight-up record, and are 15-8 as a road underdog against the spread. Oklahoma City is 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games against the Phoenix Suns. And so also another stat here about the OKC-Phoenix matchup. The Suns have scored at least 100 points in 44 of 45 games this season, which is 98% of their games, the highest percentage among all teams in the NBA. The only game they were held under 100 points was a 102-97 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder on January 27th. Because I think this will be a lower scoring game due to OKC's defense's success against the Phoenix Suns, 13.5 is a ton of points in a low scoring game. I love the Thunder here. OKC has been a team I've been betting on an absolute ton, and it's worked out pretty well for me, as I referenced, with their against the spread records, especially as a road underdog. And they keep close in these games that you would not expect them to at all. I actually think plus 800 on the money line is worth sprinkling. I haven't, but I may still end up sprinkling money line. Mark Dagnall deserves a ton of credit for what he's been able to do as the Oklahoma City Thunder's coach, as they've been trying to tank as a front office. Hopefully, he continues sticking it to the front office in a major league Cleveland Indians situation, especially tonight. I didn't think Sam Presti would be compared to the owner's daughter in the Cleveland Indians, who turns into the owner in Major League, but here we are. So that Oklahoma City Thunder plus 13.5 at the Phoenix Suns for 1.5 units. Now, for what you were all waiting for the best bet, which is 16-9, incredibly profitable on the year, we have my best bet, my play of the day, my lock of the night at 10 o'clock in the NBA. First half, under 113.5, Los Angeles Lakers, Sacramento Kings, 4-2 units. This is a matchup of the number 1 and the number 30 defense in the NBA. Who will dictate pace? I will bet on the number 1 defensive team in the Lakers to dictate a slow pace without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The last 8 Lakers first halves have went under, and 10 of the last 11 first halves for the Lakers have went under their set totals. The first half under is 33-15 for the Lakers. So this trend seems to have taken shape with LeBron and AD, and has translated to no matter who's missing or no matter who is on the court for the Lakers, they have been a fantastic under team. As I mentioned in my appearance on the Last Resort podcast, as you saw me tweet out, go check that out. I thought it was an interesting podcast with a Nets fan and a Sixers fan who were kind of interviewing me about my gambling insight and my thoughts and kind of how my system and how I go about gambling and how I go about the games I pick and what creates a good gambler from a bad gambler, what sets them apart. Thought it was a good interview, and I mentioned the Lakers under as a trend that had been really good for me all year and for everyone all year. I mentioned the Thunder, I mentioned the Pelicans overs, I mentioned the Blazers and how good they've been for me. So that was just one of the trends that I dove into when we were talking on that podcast, which you can go check out on my Twitter. I retweeted the Last Resort podcast. You can look it up on Twitter as well. They're a good follow. The Kings, despite being the number 30 defense in the NBA, you'd think they'd be fantastic on the over, which they have been for most of the year. But they're actually 6-3-1 on the under in the last 10 games, despite being terrible defensively. So this is my best bet mainly because of the Lakers, but I'm not that nervous that the Kings are going to play their normal breakneck pace because they haven't been as of late. So before we get out of here, let's play that ad one more time so you guys can check it out. on BetRivers through XL Media. A quick word from our sponsor.
Hey, what's up, guys? March Madness is here. The NBA and NHL are both in full swing. Baseball opening day is coming up, while we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports. We are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup in on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity for some free money, baby.
Don't miss out. Go check it out. The link is in the description of the YouTube video. So my picks for today is Colorado +3 versus the LA Dodgers for 1.5 units at -120. The Chicago White Sox -100 for 1.5 units at the LA Angels. The Oklahoma City Thunder +13.5 at the Phoenix Suns for 1.5 units. And then the first half under 113.5 in Los Angeles Lakers, Sacramento Kings for 2 units as my best bet. So let's get to a couple of the games that I didn't bet on. I didn't place a pick on. So let's talk them through, and I'll give you what I would do if I was betting them. The first game, Tampa at Miami, the Rays at the Marlins. The Marlins cashed for me yesterday on the first 5 run line. I'd probably go right back to the same thing with the Marlins first 5 run line, but I'm staying away from that game because I don't have as strong of a feeling about the pitchers in Yarbrough and Lopez. So moving on to the next game, the Houston Astros and the Oakland A's. I think Luzardo is going to be an ace in this league. Jesus Luzardo, I think he's way better than Javier for the Houston Astros. I took the A's last night. I'm not going to take 2 of my 3 losses back-to-back days. I'm already on the White Sox. I'm staying away from the A's because I have Luzardo in fantasy. I still have a vested interest in them winning the game and doing well, so it won't kill me if they win. But that's actually my biggest lean that's not on my card, A's -120. I like the A's to win that game, but I'm staying away because it didn't go well for me last night. At 10-10, the Arizona Diamondbacks at the San Diego Padres. My buddy, Pat Moran, who will be on the show tomorrow, I know he has San Diego over 4.5 team total. That's his favorite bet. Makes a lot of sense. I think I have a little bit higher of an opinion on Merrill Kelly than he does. And if I had to make a pick here, it would probably be D-backs +1.5. But I'll be staying away from that game for sure. And another game I'm staying away from is the San Francisco Giants at the Seattle Mariners. Johnny Cueto, Yusei Kikuchi. I'd probably go with San Fran, but I'm not taking a bet in that game. Who won game 1 last night? I think it was a walk-off walk. I just can't remember who walked them. Yeah, and the Mariners won on a walk-off walk in game 1 against the San Francisco Giants. I would stay away from that game tonight, personally. So let's switch over to the NBA, talk about any games that I didn't bet on. Golden State at Toronto. I initially had Golden State +2.5 on my card. Didn't bet it yet because I was waiting to see the injury news on Steph Curry, who is out. And that is why the line is at 5.5 points. I wouldn't touch this either way with a 10-foot pole. The Houston Rockets are 11.5-point dogs at the Boston Celtics. I'm glad that Vegas has finally corrected their Houston Rockets idiocy from earlier on in the season. So I'm staying away from that huge spread. Dallas Mavericks -6 at the New York Knicks. The Knicks are without a lot of guys. If I was to take a spread here, it would be Dallas -6. Don't have a take on the over/under. If I were to take one on the over/under, it would be the Mavs team total over 109.5. I do know the Knicks have been so good defensively though, so I'm staying away. But I know that the Mavs have done that in 4 of their last 5 games because I was looking at it. So I like the Mavs in that game to win and to drop it on New York a little bit. But New York's been so good defensively. I'm not taking a big spread in a low-scoring game, so I'll stay away. The Minnesota Timberwolves at the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis Grizzlies are -6. If I had to take a bet in this game as well, it would be the Memphis Grizzlies. If I had to take a team total, it would be the Memphis team total over. Similar situation with Dallas. I think Memphis handles business here, but I'm staying away because Memphis' offense hasn't been quite good enough to back on a team total over this high. So I'm staying away. Charlotte, Indiana, complete stay away. I can't read either of these teams right now without their certain players that are out. Chicago Bulls at the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are 12.5-point favorites. Without Levine, I can't take the Bulls there, and I'm also not going to take the Jazz as a 12.5-point favorite. They're not quite good enough. So I can't touch that line. Over 223.5 seems exactly properly set. And then in my opinion, is the biggest stay away game I've seen all year. The Milwaukee Bucks -3 at the Portland Trail Blazers. I have no idea what happens in this game. I don't know what it is about these teams. It feels like Milwaukee could be too big for them. Actually, now that I'm talking about it, it feels like the Bucks are probably the play here. But I've been going on and on saying that if Portland is anywhere between -2 and +5, they've been so profitable. So I can't take the Milwaukee here. I can't take either team here. 2 teams that I really like to bet on. But I'm staying away. So real quick, just reading them off again. The Colorado Rockies +3 runs versus the LA Dodgers at 840 for 1.5 units. The White Sox money line at the Angels at 940 for 1.5 units. First half under 113.5 in the LA Lakers Sacramento Kings game for 2 units is my best bet. And the Oklahoma City Thunder +13.5 at the Phoenix Suns for 1.5 units at 10 o'clock is my best bet. There's people filing in the stream now. If you guys have any comments, if you guys have any picks, please leave them in the comments so I can pull them up and I'll reference them. I'll go over my action from last night real quick, just to see if there's anything to be learned from the action last night. I had the Oakland A's who lost 8-1 for 1.5 units. I underrated Zach Greinke. I won't do that going forward. I kind of thought he was cooked after last year, but Zach Greinke had a fantastic game, and Chris Bassett was overrated. Pat Moran was right. So I will kind of adjust going forward my high opinion on Chris Bassett and my low opinion on Greinke this year. Kind of did throw some cold water on all of my A's optimism going into the year for Oakland. The Chicago White Sox, I've talked about this game already. They lost 4-3 to the Angels. I don't feel wrong about that pick. They yanked Giolito way too early, and the White Sox stranded a lot of opportunities. So I really do think that the White Sox should have won that game, and I'm right back in the well today, and I'll be right back in the well tomorrow. The Denver Nuggets +2.5 versus at the LA Clippers. I jumped on this when Paul George was announced in, and the line adjusted crazy to a 2-point dog or 2.5-point dog for the Nuggets. So I was all in on that line once I saw the movement, and I already gave out on the pod that I did like Denver, but I didn't pull the trigger until later on. The Miami Marlins first 5 +0.5 run 0-0 after the first 5 innings, like I expected. Sandy Alcantara absolutely throwing a gem. I love Alcantara, and he came through for me yesterday, so I will continue to be a Sandy Alcantara. I'm the biggest Sandy Alcantara stan there is, so I'll be betting on the Marlins whenever he pitches going forward in the right situation. The Philadelphia Phillies money line versus the Atlanta Braves. They win 3-2. We already talked about that. Just can't get any better than that. The Toronto Blue Jays +163, winning 3-2 over the New York Yankees. Was a great way to get the opening day started as a +163 dog money line cashing. I just think that Toronto, like the Dodgers, or the Yankees, like the Dodgers, have overinflated lines. And I think Toronto is very underrated and will be a playoff team this year that competes with the Yankees, not only in the division, but going forward into the playoffs as a World Series contender. I think Toronto is legit, and I think that they're an arm away from really being a World Series contender. They have Hyunjin Ryu, who was fantastic yesterday. And then 2 through 5 is a little dicey with Russ Stripling, Robbie Ray, Nate Pearson, guys like that. I think Steven Matz might be in there, but just a bunch of guys, and you're not sure who's going to step up out of that group and be the 2 through 5. but I think that they're a legit number 2 starter away with that lineup and with Hyunjin Ryu and with that bullpen from being a legitimate title contender in the AL. So ranking my 4 plays today in order of confidence, I would say my number 1 most confident is that first half under 1. This is something I'm going to try to do going forward because I know that I give out the units, but a lot of them end up being similar. So I'm going to try to going forward to give you my order of confidence like it's an NFL survivor pool. My order of confidence, my most confident pick is the first half under 113.5 in Lakers Kings for 2 units. My second most confident pick is Colorado Rockies plus 3 runs at minus 120 versus the LA Dodgers for 1.5 units. My third most confident pick is the Oklahoma City Thunder plus 13.5 at the Phoenix Suns for 1.5 units. And my least confident pick is the Chicago White Sox money line at the LA Angels just because they lost for me last night. So if you had to take one of my plays, my best bet, 16-9, first half, under 113.5, Lakers Kings. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the Tough Cover Click, and enjoy opening day part 2 for some of you, because the Red Sox and the Orioles were out. The Mets and the Nationals were off. They're not playing till Monday. Let's redo that. Please go follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ on Twitter. Follow at Tough Cover Pod on Twitter and Instagram. I've gotten the Instagram back up and running. And please go check out our show from yesterday with Dylan. Dylan correctly predicted the score, and we talked about more macro Phillies season expectations kind of things last week. If you want to check that out, I also did a pod last weekend with Pat Moran previewing the MLB season. So go and check those out on the Tough Cover Pod playlist, on the Painted Lines on YouTube. Go subscribe and enjoy the winners.